This one is about the future of consumer engagement, redefining BFSI marketing. We have with us Harmeet Singh Arora, Vice President Corporate Communications, Public Relations and Events, Zaggle Prepaid Ocean Services, joining us over here to moderate this session. Please give it up for Sir, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Let's have some more noise, please, everybody. Thank you. To join him on stage, we have with us today Orgho Bhattacharya, Head of Marketing, PayU Payments, with us. Give it up for Orgho, sir, please. Thank you. We have Ashutosh Nagare, VP Performance Marketing Interactive Avenues, with us as well. Can I please have Ashutosh sir on stage? Thank you so much. Big round of applause please for Ashutosh sir as well. Thank you. We also have with us today Chandni Mehta, Director Marketing Turtlement, with us as well. Please give it up for Chandni ji, the lady in the house. Thank you. We also have with us today Shweta Iyer, SVP and Head of Marketing Ring and Kish, with us as well. Shweta ji ke liye bajaiye everybody, please, zor se taali. Thank you. And we also have with us today Vishal Lohia, Lead Agency Relations Hybrid, with us as well. Vishal ji ke liye bajaiye, please, zor se taali. I love that self-appreciation that you come to the table with. Thank you.
Thanks and good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be on the panel. Very interesting topic. I was hearing the panels before. Some of them have covered something that we want to talk, but I'm sure my esteemed panelists have interesting more insights to give it to you. The topic is the future of consumer engagement, which is redefining the BFSI marketing. I will straight head on to some set of questions that we've worked on so that we save on time. My first question, we're not going in any order. Whoever thinks he wants to pick up first can just go ahead. How are BFSI firms adopting the marketing strategies to meet the expectations of today's digital savvy consumers? And what role does personalization play in creating seamless, engaging experiences? We can go in any order. Maybe ladies first, yeah?
So in terms of appealing to the audience in personalized ways, I think one important criteria is to understand that personalization is not just about segmenting the customer into broad cohorts. Even within a particular micro segment, there is a lot of heterogeneity, right? Amongst Gen Z, there are different kinds of Gen Z. Amongst women, there are different kinds of women. So I think earlier there used to be this concept of micro segmenting and then assuming that a micro segment is homogeneous. Important for us to understand that even a micro segment or a cohort can be very, very heterogeneous, and then therefore customize messages for them as closely as possible. So micro segments within micro segments based on attributes, some division based on the region where they are curating vernacular content for that particular micro segment, using a lot of topical elements that resonate with the audience and not the same topical elements. If there is, so typically we tend to use a sporting event, typically we tend to use something that's very current and then again use that as a one size fits all. But then even if you're creating topical content, it's important to remember that we need to use it in a personalized manner only where it's relevant.
Interesting. So you're saying vernacular and regional content is looking up. Okay, go ahead, Chandni.
Thanks for asking. I think you're the flip side of going. The second one is large part of what you want to say is already done, and that's why the demand of the consumer, like you're saying, the digital savvy consumer is elevated, right? So if you are not the first mover in innovation or setting the context, you have to work even harder to impress your clients. To that, here is what we are doing to impress our customers and to see if there's any room for AI to help us, be there first. So in terms of personalization, while what Shweta said is the answer for most of the engagement metrics, what we're trying to double click on now is the emotional aspect of the uniqueness of one person, right? I mean, you are unique, I'm unique, and as individuals, if I spoke to you, you will know that I know you, right? And if I if my app spoke to you, it will speak to you in the language of your preference, or it will speak, generalize the region you are from, or maybe some guesstimate on maybe the religion or the festival you're celebrating, and that's where it is, you know. But what we're trying to do is also in the content, you know, we're tagging some content to say, here is where, you know, where have let's say these 4 to 5 emotional drives, right? Largely these 4 or 5 elements of emotions that drive you, right? So we've started, you know, identifying what's your drive for emotional, you know, kick, right? So and what are you driven by, right? Like what do you feel for, right? So regardless of which region you are from, which religion you follow, you like chocolates, for example, right? And that is is so beautiful if I knew it, right? So on your birthday, I will not send you flowers, I'll send you chocolates. So, you know, so I think what we're trying to do is when we are sending communications, we're tagging content to say, how can I know, you know, this user's, and then we do a parallel research to say, so if somebody who is feeling for a thrill or feeling for something very sensitive, something for a cause, then what are the traits they are most likely to fall for? So we try to do that outside of this content tagging. And then this is my next big project I'm working on, while you know what Shweta said has worked for us, will continue to work for us, and I think it's making our teams happy in terms of metrics.
So two things. One, I think first one advantage in a country like India has a flip side too, right? Because if you do it right, we're a country of jugaad, so we'll do a better job and go ahead of you. Number two, become your customer because I like chocolates. What do you order?
So, I'll break it down into 2 parts, right? But first, a disclaimer. Personalization and engagement are easier to talk about sitting here than actually solve for, right? I'm better at talking about it than actually maybe I'm doing back at work solving it. So that's the disclaimer. So, just speaking about BFSI, no, what are the 3 problems that plague us? First, anybody here would agree, the first problem is high churn. Second is low conversions, and the third I would say is abundant journeys, right? Because we are in the digital space. So when you're looking at engagement models, you have to seek it, at least whichever engagement model you're looking to go live with. What is the problem that you can solve with it? What is the other thing that people forget when talking about engagement is the amount, more than personalization, what content you put forth plays for that, helping that engagement. So whenever you're doing BFSI and you're doing, say, solving for engagement, 4 data points that I always look at. The first is historical data. Second is what is the contextual situation. The third is what is the technographic, means where is he consuming, what is the phone that he will be consuming on, if it's a journey, how is he or she, going through the journey. And the fourth part is behavioral, right? That is when previous panelists also talked about cookies, talked about how people are behaving. So if we are able to stitch all 4 of these together, right, what we should end up arriving for BFSI engagement is, we all as marketeers and as business leaders try to drive transactions, right? But what we should end up trying to do is drive value. Maybe that is where the change lies. Right? For personalization, I actually will give an example of the challenge that we are facing. It's a Friday evening, so it's okay to talk about drinks, right? So you walk into a bar, what usually happens, right? So there's somebody who comes up to you and says, hey, please can I find you a seat? But what would be better? You walk into the bar and say, hi, Orgo, please come in. Right? I would feel better. Think now I walk into a bar and the person says, hi, Orgo, please come in. I will take you to your usual seat. Now I am getting fuzzy and warmed. The fourth best would be, I walk into the bar. He says, hey, Orgo, come on in. I have your place reserved. And would it be the usual? So that would foster brand loyalty. Now you think this would take an attentive steward, right? And it would take at least 10 to 15 visits to that particular restaurant or bar for me to expect this to happen. But the customer who is walking in to your door today digitally is expecting this at the first go. So that is what you should be building towards. Does it happen automatically? No, it doesn't. Right? There will be a lot of trial and error, but hopefully we all will get there.
I think these restaurants are now trying to understand that if we give this kind of personalization, will that extreme personalization give him already a high, he'll consume less, कि ज़्यादा अच्छा लगा तो ज़्यादा पिएगा. So that's a flip side. Go ahead, Ashutosh.
I think points are already been spoken about, but being on an agency side and when we look at multiple brands, one of the common challenges that we have always seen is there is definitely personalization as a need being known, but having said that, how many of those brands are actually using it, right? And we see most of the times, despite the brand knows that the personalization is needed, but there are some of the other challenges to execute that. Like for example, creative team doesn't have enough bandwidth, right? They don't have enough resources that they can churn out so many personalized content pieces. That's where DCO comes into the picture. So we have built a proprietary tool which does the person-based moment mapping, and across multiple cohorts, multiple communication types, we are able to reach out to different audience segments on different platforms. So one part, definitely personalization is needed, but how quickly brands can adapt that and execute that, that's one of the challenges that need to be solved for across. Second piece is, while this might address your problem of acquisition or the brand discovery or a product discovery or a service discovery, but like we just heard, fostering or nurturing that particular person more from a perspective that re-engagement is at the top of its game. Today, a lot of call centers are manually being deployed, resources are taking up the calls, whereas world is now moving towards AI-based call centers, right? If you know there's a particular pattern or a journey of a user that they always come onto your platform and they engage, let's say, on a personal loan or maybe for some sort of insurance, health insurance, maybe they are concerned about adding their parents or wives or children dependencies. If AI is able to understand that behavior and promptly help, right, that definitely builds the brand loyalty, but more than anything else, it will add to a lot of your customer lifetime value, right? So like she just mentioned, we today chase leads, transactions, but are you really measuring your LTV to CAC ratio, right? And that can only happen with the personalization across the entire customer lifecycle, from an acquisition to re-engagement to the entire lifecycle that the user is taking around.
Just go ahead, Shah.
Thank you. Now, since most of the points are really covered by the client side and the agency side, I would like to give you a publisher's point of view. We do actually get in conversations with a lot of clients who want to adapt these changing marketing strategies as per the platforms, USPs, and advantages. What we do see is actually they do adapt very flexibly in these omni-channel strategies that they want to be present at, where they want to be with these, especially with these digital and tech-savvy users, they want to give a very seamless and a consistent experience. So with regards to that, obviously omni-channel strategy works wonders with them. They have these integrated investment strategies also, where they would want to try not to break the chain or the customer's journey. If to give an example, if a person is filling a loan application form online, can also find a branch or a mobile app if he's not able to complete that loan application form online. So when we have such conversations, basis the various publishers that they have different kind of strategies ready for them. So yes, personalization is something that they really give a lot of importance to. They're embracing technology, they're embracing customer experiences. They leverage a lot of data-driven insights, and they take the audience data first to understand as to if this can really be maximized in terms of getting the ROI. So I think in today's time, personalization is something that the marketers are really up for. They understand everybody's digital savvy, and digital channels are the right way to reach a wider audience and gather customer insights, because that is how they will be able to map their next campaign or maybe the next move that they want to try and create a funnel. So yes, this is how they are adopting to marketing strategies in place. Yeah.
I think nowadays you fill up a half form, you quickly get a call back. Sir, kya hua? You know? So, before I move on to the next, discussion, anyone have a quick question on this particular topic? I want to make it more interactive so that it's not a one-way flow. Anyone? Raise your hands. No worries. So the next one is data is king, data is a new oil. We all have too much of data. But I think being in the BFSI sector, we come with a lot of issues on compliance, data privacy. How are you guys navigating through that? I think I'll go start with you. It's very tough one, right? Because we all are highly compliant as an industry. So
It is tough, right, for the compliance guys. But the ethos does not change. So there's I wouldn't say it's an organizational ethos. It is an industry ethos that we should all follow. The first is transparency. We should tell people that we are collecting data, right? Then it is up to them how we will use the data. What is? And the second thing is, whenever we use the data, we should always think, are we using the data for the betterment of the customer? So those two are the basic starting blocks. Now, people talk about data in a lot of varied ways, but I look at it in only two forms. If I'm using data, how I will use it to learn more about my consumer. If I'm leveraging data, then I will leverage data to serve my customer better. The utopian thought here that we try to proceed with is, okay, the data leveraging should not help me as an organization to sell better, right? It should actually help the customer to buy better. So that's the bottom line. Now, how do we use data, right? And how do we leverage data can be very contextual in nature, right? First, it was only about right customer, right time, right platform. Now with personalization, with AI, ML, with the data we have, we also have to address right product and right message. So another example here would be, if so I would say winter is coming, right? Everybody would be conversant with that. So creative idea would be, okay, hey, I want to sell a jacket. I am a platform. I would say winter is coming, and that would be enough, and I would sell it. But now what I want to do, based on his or her browsing behavior, on their historical context that I have, I would want to suggest the style. I would try to suggest the style, the size, style, and also maybe the type of wear that they have. Now I can use data from his or her mobile to showcase which area of the country they are in. Right, a winter wear in Bombay would look drastically different than that in Delhi. So that is where I am actually leveraging data or leveraging data points to serve the customer better. Right. The whole idea is, where do I overstep? I should not be messaging my customer telling, "Arey yaar, tu Bombay mein jacket mat dekh, t-shirt dekh le." So that is where we are overstepping. But so to say, think customer first. Think how will the data help my consumer or customer buy better. Right. The selling can happen anyways.
Shweta.
Thing about BFSI and specifically fintech is that customers know that you're collecting data. There is explicit consent that we take. So on some level, customers are expecting a level of personalization. But the point is, how do you do it without being creepy? Right? That's the line that we have to strike, because we do know a lot about the customer, right? So it's one thing for me to say, hey, you left your loan journey incomplete. I'm going to give you a cashback. Please come and complete your loan journey. That is okay, because the customer is expecting us to know that he's left his, loan journey incomplete. But if I tell him, hey, your CIBIL score is 650 and therefore I'm going to charge a higher interest or I'm going to lower your loan amount, then that crosses the line, right? Even though we may have that information. What information are you using? How prudent you are with it? And whether or not you ethically maintain those boundaries. That is important in terms of data privacy. Of course, we take consent, we have a lot of information, right? But any other player for that matter, Swiggy and Zomato, who pride themselves on being extremely personal. I would be spooked if they say, hey, last night you bought dosa batter, why don't you get chutney today? Right? They cannot do that. I don't think any provider, even though you put the customer first, that is, like I said, you can't be creepy, and how much data you have, of course you have my shopping history. But if you're going to allude to something that I think is very personal, then I think that is a breach of privacy. So collect all the data, but we need to know where to strike that balance and not to cross that line between being creepy and and being customer centric.
Interesting. Chandni, you can go ahead.
I think it's a very delicate conversation, if there are consumers in the room, right? Especially why? Because, when you sit in reviews for your data, and this is the amount of data we've been able to collect, and so we can develop these recommendation engines, and so we can develop new products, and so we can do new packages, and so we have, this is our way to profitability, right? So, but when you think customers, I think, this whole insecurity we have with data privacy is largely because, of the guys who are in the business for the short term, right? If you're in the long term, you will like to build relationship. Think of this as a relationship outside the digital world, right? If I know somebody and I know a lot about that person, I know the barriers and इससे ज़्यादा cross नहीं कर सकते. I know I can't talk to you about what happened with your mother-in-law and what happened. I can't talk. Even if I know, I can't talk about it. So you see, I think what happens to some of the things we already discussed. What happens is when you try to be cheeky about it, you lose the conversation. You lose the thread, and so you lose the longevity of your business. So I think it's not so much about the data privacy or security, it's the respecting of someone's personal space. So I think that if you are able to learn on where, and for some people, that personal boundary is different, and for some people, the personal boundary is very different. Right? I'm okay to talk to you about a few more things than somebody else, for example, but now, I think that's something digital hasn't solved for, right? We have to, I don't know how to in the digital world solve for identifying boundaries at a personal level, right? If there's any innovation around that, it would be beautiful, right? And there is, like the innovation is mostly ask you, right? Consent-based, can I access your bank account? Consent-based, can I access your email? So I think that is respecting your boundaries. So as long as I don't mind it, I don't mind it. As long as I don't mind, I'd like sometimes, to say, hey, you bought the batter, so get the chutney, and like, wow, I'm not going to be in a situation tomorrow morning. So in those cases, I may probably like it, So it's a support situation also. So I think we need to work on identifying what is the user boundary where you can add value. So yeah.
You're saying the real and the real world should be treated together in a similar fashion. Go ahead, Vishal, your thoughts.
Thank you. Since what I've already covered with respect to data privacy and how we should be really, really careful in terms of stepping our boundaries, I would like to give a publisher's mindset and a point of view where when I deal with or I interact with client-side people and the kind of headache that they have with respect to the large volume of data that they are sitting on. So data has two aspects to it. One, we have to obviously be very careful with data privacy and data encryption, and they solve for the security solutions and all that. But I have been the witness to a lot of discussions where they have said that because of data overload, they've not been able to figure out the right touch point in the customer journey of the life the life cycle, or maybe because the CRM was not up to date, or there has been data overload and there has been analysis paralysis because of that. We are not able to actually figure out where exactly did we lose the customer in that entire mapping. So large volumes of data also does create these kind of problems and scenarios where they're not able to really figure out where the ROI went missing or why did not a particular campaign was successfully driven. But coming back to the core point, yes, we have to be very, very careful in terms of building trust and a strong long-term relationship for any BFSI, for a bank or a financial services institution, that we ensure that there is transparency, there is communication, there is informed consent when it comes to talking to them about data. They should know where this data is being used, and that we are not making any, not being profiteering, or we have any personal gains out of it. So yeah, that is my point of view of the kind of discussions we have with respect to data.
Ashutosh, your thoughts?
I think it just reminded me about one of the interesting cases which just happened on LinkedIn. One of the quick commerce players, they sent a notification to one of the women. Did you forget an IP? That. And she actually took it very offensive. She posted it on LinkedIn, and almost like 1,000+ comments were just quick commerce was just trying to explain again and again on the multiple platform. It was a mistake and all. So again, understanding your consumer, what kind of products would appeal them, and the messaging through which you are reaching out to them, it is very critical, because again, long-term relationship, we spoke about it, right? You might just lose a customer just because of a wrong message or notification being sent. Plus, it can also agitate multiple network, create bad reviews about your products across multiple platforms, which can further turn down to a lot of other customers or prospective customers, which might consider your product or services in the future, right? So, using the data with the consent is definitely something that needs to be taken care. But how are we again using this data and reaching it back out, nurturing that customer? This is pretty much important, right? Today, someone who has, like, let's say, done a travel booking, and you know that this person has gone on a Make My Trip and done a travel booking, you can definitely cross-sell them with a travel insurance kind of product, right? Or else, let's say someone who is in 30s and just taken a personal loan or a car loan, something like that, and you know that these historically or contextual data you have, that this person is also looking for a wedding banquets or something like that, you can sell them a wedding loan. So personalization, when it comes into picture, when you know what message and what product you are selling, is also critical as compared to other than just sitting on the data and just engaging.
Interesting. I think we're talking about ML, AI, now talking about AR, VR. In a serious category like BFSI, what are the kind of use cases and innovations that you guys are seeing, which you have kind of witnessed yourself, or you're kind of doing it for your organization, if anybody can pick it up? So for all.
Yeah, so we tried something like this a couple of years ago. Very few players in the market do it well. In my experience, when we started doing this 2-3 years ago, some of the use cases we were also struggling to find is, actually it's hard for BFSI to look for such. So I think your question makes a lot of sense, and I think we're in the same state. There was a case where we identified to explain to our enterprise clients on how we build the engine behind what's happening in the front end. So we did like a scanner, and then there was an augmented showcase of how this pipeline. So we did almost like a analogy to explain the complexity in building that tech. So if you were, that there are APIs that talk to so many insurers, so many players for code, for renewals, for to customers. So all that needs to is like the piping of the whole thing. So we built like a pipeline to say, it goes from here to here, and the pipeline goes. So we literally made those those pipes and then called it some API. So that's how we drew it. We've also attempted, never done anything about it. We built, like a metaverse equivalent platform to have our agents come on the platform and, take a look at all the sort of products there are. And these products are also defined in a video format. So I think, because it's intangible, it's a lot more tough for us to look for use cases so comfortably. And the only sort of, sometimes people are not interested on how you have got it. Like at a retail level, I don't see, I want to see how you're doing it. At an institutional level, I worry about how you're doing it because it's going to impact my longevity in the business. So there, the whole complexity, simplifying that, we've used AR for metaverse, we've attempted, I think the quality of the whole output has not impressed us as much as we were imagining it would. Not yet. Not yet. I think there are some cases we've done in small, like brochure, or that, but very tiny.
I think during the COVID, when you guys did this metaverse campaign for agents, I've seen that. I think it's a great one. I'm not sure why you guys didn't highlight that or apply for multiple awards. That's a brilliant use case of how you can use a metaverse in a category like agents. Argo, your thoughts?
AI/ML basically, I think, is joined at the hip with everything we discussed today, right? So there was a point on having a large amount of data, right? Humans can't go through it. AI/ML will help us do that. Then there was a lot of talk on personalization, right? AI/ML both on the content side, both on the service side can help us with personalization, right? So there are two ways. So speaking of my organization, we are looking at AI/ML in 3 layers, right? We'll talk about the most important layer first. Most important layer is security, right? So AI/ML can be used to secure your transactions. So the whole idea is that now, why do you think sometimes when you're shopping somewhere, you get a call from a call center, right? Or sometimes when you are going on to maybe your favorite food platform, sometimes it asks for your OTP, sometimes it auto reads it, right? Next, when you are going to a new website, right, or maybe some D2C website you have been, or some BFSI website you're visiting the first time, still you find your card or the offers on your card reloaded. So AI/ML is being used to pre-screen your risk profile and pre-screen what is safe, what is not, right? And it is not only done from a consumer's angle, it is also done from a supplier's angle. So that's one part of AI/ML, which I personally definitely feel is making lives better. Something which is coming up, I think you would also know that it will come to India soon, is we have two-factor authentication only in India and very less markets. Still there is so much fraud, right? OTP fraud or whatever. So there are companies working together which will take away OTP altogether, right? It's basically your biometric will become the authentication to go through the transaction. It seems so simple, right? So the whole idea is I can steal your OTP, but I can't steal your fingerprint, I can't steal your face. So the whole idea is that the next transaction that you authenticate, your face will authenticate it or your fingerprint will authenticate it. So that's again being powered by AI/ML, right? The other part of the AI/ML, which is the engagement part. So whenever you are seeing, maybe you're going onto a website, maybe it's a quick commerce website, maybe it's a travel website. How do you think the offers get populated? How do you think, okay, if you are having maybe X bank card, why do you see offers related to that card? When you go on to and do shopping, right, you see a particular product for you and you see available into 3 into 2500 if it's a 7500 product, and the offer you see will be from the same bank you have. That is AI/ML and personalization and content engagement all working together. So is it going to snowball in the years to come? Yes, it will. But more of it will be behind the scenes, as she was mentioning. It would be on the enterprise level, it would be on a service level, but the benefits will be for the consumers and customers.
An interesting point on biometric, because I was going through a video which is just sent to me by someone that there is a jugaad, like hackers have jugaad for everything. All these selfie videos that we click, we're throwing away our biometric, right? And that goes into dark web and it's available for you to being hacked. So, on your thoughts, Ashutosh?
Yeah, I think this is one of the areas where honestly we haven't seen much of the use cases so far. But this is one of the next big game changer. While on an AR VR front, we are seeing some sort of lenses and some sort of personalization being there in terms of engaging with the user. but more from a servicing angle, like I mentioned earlier, right? In West, they've already started getting AI call centers where you have no humans there, an AI bot which answers all your queries, understands what your buying pattern has been, what touch points you have engaged with. Plus, they are available 24/7, right? So, so much to be adapted in India as a market, but I think there are some brands like Mint and all, they've already done some of these beta projects, taken it live, tested it out. One of our client from banking sector as well, they are trying out rather than video KYCs, if an AI based video KYC can happen and about them we can just expedite the process of sanctioning the loans, so on and so forth. So I think but there's a great opportunity that we can explore.
Specifically on AR and VR, like everybody said, I don't think there is a strong use case in our industry, specifically for our brands which cater to slightly lower income group, tier 2, tier 3 towns. The quest for us is to simplify marketing and simplify the journeys as much as possible. So I will not sacrifice simplicity for supposed innovation, right? As marketers, sometimes we get very tempted to innovate and say, I have done something with AR, I have done this, right? But ultimately, if it's not helping the audience, if it's not solving an audience problem, see, we are problem solvers. For us, as marketers in fintech, as marketers in BFSI, we are problem solvers. Our job is to demystify finance, investment, insurance, all of these various subjects for the user. So I cannot innovate for the heck of it and say, hey, there is a fad, there is something in the market, let's try, right? But there is something that we tried. It's not exactly AR VR, but we did try, personalized messages for each customer. So that was done through, our CEO's face was there, and he was calling out to each customer and each DSA and saying, hi. This is what we are offering, and we are now offering this kind of loan at this interest percent. That was a sort of a personalized message. Wouldn't qualify as AR, VR, but that was something that we could send on WhatsApp. And that worked really well, but specifically in our industry, I don't see that being adopted anytime soon.
Noted. Your thoughts, Vishal?
Thank you. Again, going back to the publisher platform, I represent Hybrid. We have conversations and we have new innovations and businesses in the mutual fund financial services category almost every month. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of nominations in today's program in the evening, where we have 4 categories being nominated for the use of AI. ICICI Pru being one of them. So coming back to the point that the use of AI and ML, because we have our own DSP, we do pitch such rich media innovations where we are able to understand, the help of predictive analytics, the model that our AI is capable of understanding what is a customer need, or what is a potential, who's a potential customer who's on the internet right now wanting to take a mutual fund or is investing in stocks and will be a potential customer, who can be retargeted. So these kind of analysis, the AI that is capable of is doing for us, and we are able to deliver the kind of top funnel targeting campaigns that we do for our brands and in the awareness in the consideration category. So yes, these are a few use cases that I have come across, and we actively are also meeting other brands where we are showcasing these existing performances and trying to build that trust that we can definitely deliver for their top funnel solutions.
Interesting. Last question to the entire panel. I think we'll take just 1 minute each to kind of answer that. Financial literacy, helping the customer with the storytelling kind of a format to build a long-term engagement. Do you think that is something which is a way to go? Because I was in a session yesterday where the SEBI ED said today India has reached about 13.4 demat accounts in the country, and we are at 141, 1.41 billion, population. Next step kaise karenge? Is financial literacy with the storytelling, hand holding, building, engagement on a long period of time is the way to go? Quick statements on that, and then we can wrap and we have quick sessions with the audience.
Sure, we'll keep it short. Just
In the insurance case, it's even worse. What you're saying is a very big number from the demand investment case, and that to me is the biggest issue country has, right? Because when you're looking at investment, you're not looking at protection for your investment, and that could sort of sweep away all the hard work your money has done for you for so many years, right? I think the start of financial literacy is protecting you against, where you are at least, you don't go down further, wherever you are, right? So I think a lot of the hard work needs to be put, like I've heard, and because we're in the insurance business, we've seen this and we feel for it a lot more. And of course, in the last many years, I've been in the lending space, payment space, but I think this is going to change lives. Right? If you're not insured or underinsured, your family is lost. Like you go back to a couple of years back. So I think to your question, yes, financial literacy is the way to go. What we need to do is help them imagine that if you were in the journey, where could you be if you are not in the journey, right? I think a lot of that, and I think a large part of, even if people understand it, there's a sense of insecurity of whether or not will I get it, whether or not should I believe you, because you have a so-called economic gain out of it, right? And it's a process, it's a process to win the trust. And so you keep giving more and maybe getting less, and which is you're giving the content a little bit more, the assistance a little bit more, the care a little bit more. You let go of some of your margins sometimes also to make sure that you're in the game for the TV, as you say, right? So I think it's a journey.
Well taken. You've got a short on time. 30 seconds each.
Yes, of course, financial literacy is the way to go. Like I said in my earlier comment, we are custodians of customer education. We are problem solvers. So the more you talk about finance as a subject, so we do that on our app, we do that in our email campaigns, we do that on our social media, where we don't just thrust the product, but there is a lot of information that we give on investment, on maintaining credit score, on borrowing, saving, how do you plan a holiday, how do you plan for your first car, how do you plan for your first home. So there is a lot of customer education, customer awareness that we are building in terms of safeguarding them on the online space, saying, hey, do not share your OTP, beware of phishing, all of that. So we are members of FACE, which is FinTech Association for Customer Empowerment. We work very closely with these organizations to create that awareness and educate the customer.
Are we going to go next? Or Ashutosh, either one of you?
Yeah, I think more from the perspective that category as whole together needs to come and drive this financial literacy, because currently a lot of individual organizations are just trying to create some sort of an awareness in terms of don't share OTP, be aware of the unwarranted calls that you might get, so on and so forth. So perhaps it's more a category driven problem that needs to be solved for, and maybe that can make users a lot more aware about the products, services, what is right, what is wrong, so on and so forth.
So I would just say, कि BFSI fraternity, we are not in the business of money. We are in the business of trust, right? And what financial literacy does is gives us a chance to catch them young, right? And if you catch them young, you will be able to foster trust over the next years, right? It is not only beneficial for them, it is beneficial for the whole fraternity.
Interesting, very interesting.
Just continuing with that, yes, absolutely. Only then a brand can evolve from just being just a financial provider to a trusted advisor, and it can evolve. It can be a long-term partner with the user. So yes, through influencers or thought leadership or content series, financial literacy is extremely important.
Thank you, my fellow panelists. It's the esteemed jury that we had, esteemed panelists that we had, and thank you for the great insights, and really thank you. BFSI marketers, relate to our, day-to-day journey to what happens with Milkha Singh, right? When he goes to his coach and says, "Sir, फट गई, लेकिन मजा आया." So that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.